Hi, all. Kel Thompson here, writer, director, producer of the award winning feature film, The Terrible Adventure, and something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, as in compliance with our distributor's request to add video content to the internet, YouTube's, and LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Instagram, and all over the place. But I wanted to talk through some of our scenes and start to do some director's commentary. And so I thought I'd start with something that I hadn't shared, a scene that I don't think I've shared or spoken about before, and this is our train scene. Of course, in The Terrible Adventure, we wrote for the stars, and we went big with all of our scenes for a very micro-budgeted feature film. And we evaluated, as any feature film would, the different options and opportunities that we had for where we might be able to film. I even spoke with Amtrak about filming in one of their trains, and of course it was extremely cost prohibitive, very expensive. I think it was in the neighborhood of $5,000, and when I can, I'm going to include as many details as possible about what we did to pinch pennies and save money. So we ended up finding, on a recommendation of Brian Starkweather, the Gold Coast Railroad Museum down in Miami near the zoo down there, and it's just a really beautiful, I think, lesser known spot where you can tour historic trains, and they have them set up like a train station. So they were very accommodating and cooperative, and used to having different things going on down there. So we coordinated with them and got to shoot there for about $200 a day. We did it in 2 days. Filming is very tedious and arduous, and hard to know what to do or how to do it a lot of times, especially when you're an independent first feature filmmaker. And this scene really came together really awesomely, in no small part thanks to the guy you see right there, Ciro Dobrick, and Santo Cortolo, and of course my kids there, Jackson Thompson and Olivia Thompson. And there's all the extras that we had on there as well. So this was just a fun scene. Ciro was a really natural, improvisational actor, and I could just give him some direction, and he understood it, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. He reminds me a lot of a best friend I had growing up. So I just really feel, and I've known him now for I don't even know how many years, but we know each other through stand-up comedy. Of course, this is Brett Engel, also a very talented comedian and improvisational actor. Did a wonderful job with this scene here. And I'll show you the scene at the end of this little commentary with all the music that was done by Brett James. Of course, the Foley was done by Vitor Moraes down in Brazil, and Brett James was in California. So we had a very national and international crew behind the scenes working on this. That's Addison Rex, our train conductor. Of course, he had handlebar mustache and that long hair, and just naturally fit the role of a train conductor. That's all him. He just wears that hat. I'm just kidding, but he did an awesome job as well, and it's a very iconic figure. This is I would say it's one of my favorite scenes, but there's so many great scenes with Brett, just being like cartoonish and ridiculous, which, is the basis. A lot of the basis of our film is what we now call magical realism, where it's just super reality, hyper reality. It's a kind of absurd and fun, and it's a kids movie, and we didn't want to take it too seriously. We didn't want anybody to take it too seriously. It is a comedy about the environment, so it's lighthearted, fun, campy, and ridiculous. And I think everyone gets it. The only characters that sort of play it straight are the kids, are a little bit less ridiculous, and it's something that we sort of conceived of in pre-production was that everything around the kids would be larger than life. And the kids are pretty much larger than life too, a little bit ridiculous. But anyway, so we got to film at the Gold Coast Railroad Museum, and we filmed in multiple places as the kids are yet again trying to escape the evil ice cream men who are trying to foil their winnings of $1 million prize. And I don't know, I think it came together really nicely. Here's one of the exhibits is a train exhibit. Fun story is one of these trains is haunted, and we made a couple visits to the haunted train and all got sufficiently freaked out by visiting the haunted train. This was the area of the haunted area of the train, and it got really freaky. They would tell us that doors closed on their own, etc. But of course, this is a classic scene where there's probably a name for this style of ridiculousness that we put in here, where the kids and Zero go through kind of a time wormhole, classic door-to-door caper chase scene where they're coming in and going out of different doors, and it's a little cinematography trick that we did for the scene. And then of course they end up in the dining room car, and it was like 9,000 degrees in there at the time, and my kids did awesome putting up with the heat. And now we've got the dad, Brett James, who has had his truck repossessed and is on a moped that he bought for his wife, ex-wife, and they're going to take that to go track down their kids as they all come together for a second time in the scene. So this is kind of funny where he goes out and takes off the wrong way. And I don't know, as an independent feature film, it's just every gag we could throw in there. We decorated this. I could go on and on about how we decorated it and what the successes and failures were as far as decorating a dining car, a classic dining car, and trying to make it fit into an independent feature film. Of course, we had to film all of this without the train moving, and we had to have the implication that the train got them from one location to another location. And that was the challenge, because even though we discussed with Amtrak and with the Gold Coast Railroad Museum actually moving a train for filming on, and it's just one of the many ways we visualized how to do the scene, but we didn't actually move the train. But we had to film everything, all the scenes with the train stationary as if they're waiting to leave, to depart. And so we had to do everything we can, including background noises and train noises, and mock everything up as if it was pre-departure, and then sort of use a montage that I'll have to show in another video in order to demonstrate that the transportation happened. So here is a really funny improv scene. Again, it was 87 degrees in that train car, and my kids were in 7 layers of costume and clothing, and Zero and Santo. Well, Santo actually couldn't film this day, so he was out at an appointment of some sort. And so we improvised this ridiculous slurp, which I thought was, of course, I think it's one of the funniest scenes in the film. It just goes on for like a minute, and then there's a final, sort of he gets the clue or the token, the coin back, the key to the whole mystery, and then gets subsequently tossed off of the train. And again, I think this is a beautiful scene. The whole thing works really well. I love this part where Zero uses some of his judo instincts and skills to do a dive roll. Of course, we had a mat there for the actual shot that you can't see. And then that wraps up the scene. And then they're off to their destination, which is St. Augustine. Of course, Dad and Mom, Jillian Chiappone, they're on the moped on Interstate 95. One day maybe I'll tell you how we filmed that. And everyone is off to St. Augustine for their meeting in the Castillo de St. Augustine. So anyways, stay tuned for more about how we filmed. Of course, you can check it out on Amazon and YouTube and Roku.
Which way is it?
Come on, hurry! It's this way!
We're close. It's right there.
They're closed.